Hello and welcome back to Talk with Coach, the podcast where we deep dive into the realms of sales, leadership, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. I'm your host, Becca Goldsberry, an elite sales and leadership coach with Southwestern Consulting. I am thrilled and excited to embark on another insightful journey with you. Whether you're a seasoned professional aiming to sharpen your skills or an aspiring leader hungry for knowledge, this podcast is your compass to success. Join me as we explore strategies, tactics, and mindset shifts necessary to thrive in a competitive landscape of sales and leadership. Get ready to unlock your potential, seize opportunities, and conquer challenges like never before. So let's embark on this transformative voyage together. You guys, I am all tongue twisted today. So welcome to Talk with Coach. So my guest today, her and I were introduced by another referral partner of ours, and we had an amazing time getting to know one another this past spring, fall, at a great restaurant in Indianapolis called Bluebeard. So today's guest is Desta Ntamere, and she is a dynamic designer and stylist with a flair for turning the ordinary into extraordinary. Her work is absolutely beautiful, you guys. She has 20 years in the interior design industry. Desta's experience is backed with a degree in interior design, and she has a keen eye for detail. It's her superpower. And another superpower is transforming spaces in wardrobes with bold colors, striking patterns, and luxurious textures. As a boy mom like myself, and she's an avid reader, she finds inspiration in every corner of life, blending her passions into creations that are unique as they are beautiful. Whether she's designing a room or curating a stylish outfit, Desta is all about pushing boundaries and breaking the mold. So Desta, welcome to Talk with Coach.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I'm excited that you're on today. So it's been a while since we've sat down and reconnected, but how are things going in your neck of the woods and what you're doing as a stylist and interior designer? You know, what's happening in your guys' industry right now? What's new and exciting?
Things are going well. I feel, for me at least, I feel like we're finally really breaking out of the pandemic slowdown. People are excited to shop, to buy new things, to refresh their wardrobes or their homes or both. I feel like it's an exciting time, and things are really starting to move. So that's great.
That's awesome. How did COVID have an effect? What did you see as people's maybe taste, styles, interior design wise, clothing wise? How did everything transition? What did you see during COVID, and after COVID?
That's a great question. Well, obviously in the wardrobe section, no one was getting dressed or buying new things. So it really was pretty much a complete shutdown. And then we sort of went to the Zoom dressing, like, chest up, just making sure that you look cute on camera and still have your pajamas on bottom. In the interior design world, it was a little different because obviously everyone was stuck at home. So there was some like refreshing going on, wanting to move things around, making things more comfortable, also more practical, because we all had kids that were learning at home. We were working at home. So, home offices had to change, or we had to make new home offices. So things were still moving in that side of things, just kind of in a different way. So now after COVID, the interiors are again a little bit different. So shifting back to making it be your home, a place of peace and joy to come back to after work, because many people have gone back to the office. kids are back in school, thankfully. And,
Right.
and then obviously on the wardrobe side, people are going back out into the world wanting to shop. We went through in both worlds, retail overall, a weird time where there was like no inventory and things took forever to order, and there was all kinds of shipping issues. So that kind of affected all industries. I'm seeing in the retail world now more options, better options. It's not looking so bleak when you go into stores now. So I think just in general, everything is moving again, which is great.
I was going to say, I know for myself during COVID, we had, because that at the time was two. So I know that, and we had flat wall or flat paint all over the house after we build. So I remember saying, okay, he's going to be a toddler, and there's no way I'm going to have enough, of the scrubbers to scrub the walls to get
The
everything
magic
off. So
erasers, yeah.
the magic erasers, thank you. That there's no way. So I remember we repainted almost the entire house. And so I didn't have to, wash fingerprints and stuff all
Right.
off the walls. And then for my office, I actually built, shelves in my office. So I know and then I had some cousins of ours did, some installation of some different things too. So I know during COVID, my house, we kind of overhauled and did
Hmm.
some things because it was kind of your little hideaway for a little while.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I love that. So I would love for you just to kind of share with us, because I know a lot of people always ask, how do you start a business? Like, why did you choose to, start your own business? What was your why, purpose, passion? Can you start us there?
Sure. I I guess you could say not your typical entrepreneur. I never like dreamed of being an entrepreneur or owning my own business. I certainly wanted to be successful, but um, it just wasn't my dream to have my own business, for everything to be on my shoulders. Um, After college, I worked at an interior design firm for 8 years, and that was my dream, like to be successful, to do well in an interior design firm. I really wanted to move to a bigger city, um, but I had kids and then wanted to be close to my parents for that reason. So um, Indianapolis is where I have stayed since I graduated. um, but at the time, so 8 years into my, I guess you would call it corporate journey, I'm in retail or residential interior design, so it's a little bit not corporate, but
Yeah.
um, I at the time had two kids, and the well, he's the middle one now because we have three, but at the time he was the youngest. He was two at the time, and had a lot of some developmental delays, some
Okay.
sensitivities, some food allergies, lots of things that required therapy, doctor's appointments, and it just became too much. I couldn't get him to all the places he needed to be and be working full time and focused on giving my all to my design job. So I started my own business just out of necessity to be able to still uh, have work, to still be working, but also have the flexibility to take care of my kids and get them to all of these appointments that were taking up a lot of time. So yeah, it was a struggle. I mean, anyone who started their own business knows it's not easy, but especially if it's not like this is what I've always dreamed of, you kind of have to find different
Right.
motivations. Um, so yeah, that is the beginning of my entrepreneur journey.
So how did you start? Was it like, all right, I'm going to create a business, a business plan, or I just need to go network? What did you do in those initial phases? What did that look like for you?
Um, well, it wasn't like an overnight thing. I knew that this was coming, and so I started slowly doing work on the side. I obviously couldn't do interior design work while I was working for an interior design firm. So I was doing personal organizing. So I
Okay.
did sit down, and it probably wasn't the most technical of business plans, but I had an idea in my head. I started thinking, like, what do I love to do besides design? What am I good at? And I'm just naturally good at organizing and enjoy doing that in my own home. So I started doing that on the side, and I had this idea of having a three-pronged business. So eventually I wanted it to be organizing, design, and personal shopping.
Okay.
Um, so I did just started networking. There was some local professional organizer groups. So I started going to that,
Hmm.
and, started a website, started, I think back now, like at the website, and I think, oh my gosh, it was so primary, but
Yeah.
we've come a long way in the last, I don't know, 15 years. Um, so just started doing those things, like getting out and telling people that I'm doing this, because organizing kind of goes hand in hand with the design. I
Yeah.
was able to use a lot of my contacts to say, hey, I'm now also offering this service. So that took off pretty easily, pretty quickly.
Okay.
And then when I was able to, or decided I needed to leave the design firm, I started doing organizing and design.
Awesome. So, are there things that you're like, best advice that somebody has actually given you to help you grow your business? What's the best advice somebody's given you?
Um, Actually, someone just recently gave this to me. I mean,
Okay.
I've heard it along the way, but it's just like, be authentic. And this is like so dear to my heart. It just, if you're meeting people and you're being you, then your people are going to be attracted to that, and they're going to find you. So just putting that out into the world. I'm a very shy person. I have a very hard time, like, putting myself on social media and out into the world. And uh, that was their advice to me. It was just be authentic, because there are also other people struggling with those same things and that feel the same way you do, and seeing you do it can be inspirational to people, and it's going to attract people, just owning what you are and putting it out there. And I think that's the best advice for anything, really.
I would too, because nobody wants to work with somebody who's fake, right? Not genuine, not their
Right,
true self, right? So
right.
I know for me, authenticity is so key. And I know that one of the business tips that you tell everybody to help them grow their business is just build relationships. So can you expand on that? When somebody asks you that tip and you say go build relationships, what did that look like for you?
That, well, it goes along with being authentic.
Mhm.
Anyone who is in business has heard, like, networking, like, it's important to build your business. But what type of network are you doing? Are you just like going around the room and passing out your business card and not connecting with those people? So I think that it's important for all people, really, but especially if you're trying to grow a business, to build actual relationships. Have, just like you and I did, like, sit down and have coffee and learn about people's story and what inspires them, what problems they're facing. um, be curious about other people, and not have it be transactional. So really, like, actually connecting with people is very important.
It is very, very important. What are some of the best practices that you do to build those authentic relationships?
um, I like to, after I, get the business cards of people or have connected with someone in some event or some way, I like to send a message and invite them to meet for coffee or lunch, or sometimes it's Zoom, but I prefer really to meet with people face to face. Um, and really just be curious about them and their business, and ask questions, and be authentic about those questions.
No, that's great advice. Is there a group that or an event quarterly, monthly that you love to attend? I know there's a lot of people out there who love BNI. I know some people do H7. Let's see what else. There's other people that I know. There's a group called Gold Star people do. Are
Mm-hmm.
there any groups like that? I have a friend, Rebecca Johnson. She has evolved there on the north side of Indianapolis. Are there groups that you like to attend, you know, on a regular basis or even maybe a couple times a year just to go out and just go meet some new people so you can start building some more authentic relationships?
I am familiar and have visited all of the groups that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, I try to get out to as many events as I can. I recently visited No Wib, which is
Love
a
Noah.
women's group, and I really enjoyed that meeting. So I will probably be joining that group soon. I have a group of women that I meet with weekly. We have a lunch every Tuesday, and it's great just for support, bouncing ideas off of each other, trying, asking, hey, do you know anybody for this job that I have, or somebody that needs this service? I'm also a ambassador for the Beauty Boost, which is a women's health and wellness community here in Indianapolis. Um, we have events, 1 to 3 events per month. So that's a great way just to get out and meet people. Um, Most of the events I go to are women events because those are my ideal clients and those are the people that I connect with
Yeah.
deeply. So I, yeah, I try to get to as many of those type of events as I can, just to keep building those relationships. But also to make friends as
Yeah.
an adult is so difficult. And
Yeah.
sometimes the spaces with all women can be hard to navigate. So I'm really happy to have found some of those women only groups that are uplifting, empowering, don't feel cliquey or catty, and really supportive. So that's important as well.
Well, I was going to say, I know you're very passionate about empowering women and contributing to positive female communities as well.
Yes, it's kind of a second job, I guess. I also work with the Beauty Boost as the events coordinator. So I'm like
Okay.
behind the scenes trying to get those events together and all the little details. And it just, I love that group so much because it's not, I have been in women's groups where um, they do feel clicky or catty, or you don't feel that support. And it's just really important to me as a person to have that myself. And so to be able to offer that and encourage other women in that way is really important.
That's amazing. I love that. And it's so important because as an adult, it is hard to find authentic relationships because we do have professions and careers and jobs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have um, kids or parents that we're taking care of. So sometimes it's hard to, you know, cultivate new friendships. And friendship is so important to people. It's part of,
Yes.
and we call it the balance wheel of Southwestern, right? The 7 aspects of our life, and friendship is one of those, and it's one that's often overlooked. So I
Mm-hmm.
totally get it. So when you're not busy being mom, CEO, entrepreneur, volunteer, how do you balance life? What do you do for fun? How do you
That's
relax
a that's
quickly?
a really great question. uh, that's something that I'm continually working on to figure out as an adult. Um, and my kids are a little older now, so I have a little bit more freedom they're more independent, what really do I like to do? I'm refinding that really.
Okay.
Um, I love to read. I love books. I love just to look at books and touch books. Like I could go into a bookshop and just walk around and be in there for hours. I love vintage shopping. Just looking at interesting old things is exciting to me. I'm very, I'm a nerd, so I just like nerdy things like that. But um, I am really in this place that I'm trying to figure out what, if I had the choice right now to just go and do anything, what would that be? And I am still figuring that out. I have on my list I would like to do to learn to play the guitar. I've had a guitar since I was 16, and I taught myself how to play when I was a teenager, but it's been years since I've even
Yep.
taken it out. So that's on my list. I recently traveled to Italy. So now on my list is to move to Italy someday. So
Love it.
figuring out how I can get back there as often as possible. So yeah, still just learning, and that's another part of like having these groups where you can go out and venture out and do other activities and figure out new things that you might like to do when you have some free time.
Absolutely. Interesting that you say that. So my husband came home for lunch today, and he was telling me there is somebody that we follow on YouTube. His name is Ken Sterling. He's a sports guy here in the Indianapolis area, and he covers like the Colts and IU sports and things. And him and his wife have been married for like 40 years or something like that. And my husband said, "Hey, on the show today," he goes, "I heard, I think it was Ken, that Michael was talking about." He goes, "I heard him say that him and his wife have been married for so long that they love just to invite somebody new over and just learn more about them." He goes, "Because him and his wife, like if you're married, 40 years," he goes, "you have conversations all the time." He goes, "So they bring somebody new in, have a cup of coffee or a drink or something and just learn more about them and just meet new people." And I thought, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a great
and I
idea.
thought, and that's like, we're not that at part in life because dad's turning 6, and so we're not quite there yet. But down the road, I'm like, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And how do you, as an adult, and we start finding that, especially those who kids are getting older or you start becoming empty nesters, how do you redefine yourself to who you are at that moment? Because who you are as a young adult or as a new professional, you change in those 20, 30 years. So how do we
Definitely.
reset and figure out who we are as a person?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know.
I know, I'm like thinking about that, like, how do we do that? And maybe it's kind of going back to what's your vision, your passion, your mission. Maybe it's the redoing a vision board, right? Or just figuring out what do you like and don't like anymore. Trying new
Yeah.
things and making time to do that and just being honest with yourself and your significant other.
Yeah, for sure. It is because things could like you totally could like things that are totally opposite of what you liked 20 years ago. And yeah, really just get out there and try new things. Swing dancing is on my list also. I want to go
Fun.
try that out. So yeah, I scroll through social media and I'm like, oh, that looks like it could be interesting. Maybe I'll try that. And so I have a list of things that I want to try, and we'll see what I find out.
So you mentioned that you love looking at old things. Have you been to New Orleans yet?
I have not.
Okay, so put that on your bucket list and then
Okay.
head to the Garden District and then walk along Magazine Street. And there are some of the best and the coolest um, antique shops ever. Like, you're going to find some really cool, unique things that they don't have here in Indianapolis.
Right.
Like, you'll
I'm sure.
a lot of things from like the Civil War, and you may even find some weird stuff, that you will never ever see, you know.
Yeah.
And
I will put
I
that
found
on my list.
I found a shrunken head there before. I've seen a
Oh,
shrunken head at
wow.
down there. I've seen stuffed alligators. I've seen all kinds, all kinds of things. It's kind of fun.
Yeah,
So on my
for sure.
bucket
I'll put
list.
that on my list. That
Yeah.
is one of the places I want to get to. I've been to Savannah, Georgia, which there's
Savannah.
great antiques there as well. Lots of fun old
Yes,
stuff to look at.
absolutely. So, what are some of your favorite books? What are you reading? Do you read a lot for business, non-business, a mixture of both? What do you read and listen to?
I typically read for not business. I do podcasts more for business and educational things. And then when I'm reading books, I like it to be my escape from reality. Right now, I'm reading a book, an Italian book. It's not in Italian, but it's written by an Italian author. Historical fiction is my favorite, World War II specifically. Um,
Ooh,
so some of those can be not very good for escapism, but um, yeah, typically when I'm reading, it's fiction and for fun, and then I
ooh.
do podcasting in the car for
Okay.
educational things.
What's some of your favorite podcasts that you like to listen to?
I like Malcolm Gladwell, Adam Grant. I read their books too, but
Yeah.
they are really good for looking at things in a different way or having a new or different perspective on things, um, which as an adult I've come to appreciate and try to be more open-minded and see things from different perspectives. Um, I also love Armchair Expert, which is kind of a mixture of both. It has some just celebrities on it, but then they also have some experts on all kinds of different subjects. So it's very, you get to learn about something new every week and something different. And then from there, I find books or other podcasts that I want to listen to on topics that I find interesting that they bring to the table there.
Awesome. I love Malcolm Gladwell's podcast as well, but I've never heard of Armchair Experts, so I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's a fun mixture. It's never boring.
Okay, I love it. I'll have to definitely look into that. So, as you think about your business, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced growing your business?
Growing my business is the biggest challenge. I am very good at what I do. And because, like I said, like being an entrepreneur was not my dream, running a business is hard. And
Mhm.
uh, doing all of the admin, the social media, doing all of the business things are really difficult for me because I'm a creative. So um, getting organized and having my lists and doing all the behind the scenes things are really what the hardest thing for me. So that's why it's very important that I'm in those groups and communities with other business women so that I can get ideas, get support, get resources, find what uh, resources they're using, and try to apply those myself. So having that support, so I'm not sitting here feeling alone, like why can't I figure out how to do this,
Right.
is really important.
So, what are some of those ideas, resources, programs, apps that you love using that has really helped you doing some of the back end stuff, right? Not some of the front end facing things of the business, but more those back end admin challenges that you have.
Um, well, I've recently been looking into virtual assistants. So I've been gathering all the tips and tricks for that. And I just recently was referred to the app called Metricool, which is a social media posting app.
Metricool.
Yes, Metricool, I believe is how it's spelled.
I've never heard of that. I'll have to
It,
look into that.
yeah, it's I mean, I've tried several other, I mean, I know lots of people have different ones that they use, but you can connect to all of your social media and just do your posts one time, and then you can schedule them out. It can connect to LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest, so like all of the things, and not just Facebook and Instagram or whatever. So I find that extremely helpful. Of course, it also has its own AI, so it can help you write the posts if you need, and it's a huge time saver to just go on the computer in one place and do one post and not have to get on your phone and try to figure out all the different social media. So I am really enjoying that one right now. That is the most recent find that I have. That's been really helpful.
How do you stay motivated during the tough times in your business?
Back to the groups and the people, being connected with other small business owner women is really the most important thing for me, because you can ask questions, you can commiserate, you can just say, hey, I'm stuck and I need help, and there'll always be somebody to give advice or just support to help you get through, because there's always tough times in having a business.
100%. So what is your biggest achievement so far in growing your business?
That is a great question. My biggest achievement in growing my business, I would say also like still being here, still having a business, and keeping going at it.
Awesome. What are your thoughts on the future of your industry, and how do you plan to adapt and stay relevant? Because your industry changes quite a bit, right? There's always new things always coming about.
That is true, and that is a big challenge. A big adaptation has been being able to work virtually. Learning how to do that, having the systems and processes to be able to do that. Just because we live in a virtual world, everyone expects to be able to do that. It also gives me a wider client base because I can work with people anywhere. So that is the biggest adaptation to date, I would say. Just staying on top of the trends and being in social media and reading the magazines and seeing what's going on and keeping up to date with the trends, because on both design and styling, trends are important and people always want to know what the trends are. Of course, I try to insert small amounts of trends because the trends are always changing. So incorporating those in ways that are sustainable and can withstand time is also a challenge. But yeah, I think just being able to keep up with technology and working virtually, and technology is rapidly changing. So that's a big
Absolutely
hurdle also.
So speaking of trends, what are some trends? Let's go with everybody's outfits. What are some trends that we just need to get rid of? What is not in trend anymore?
It's I know women are not going to be happy about this, but the skinny jeans are on the way out.
I've heard
um,
that. I've heard
yes.
it.
Um, which personally I am glad about. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I am a curvy woman, and skinny jeans are not the most flattering for my body type, so I'm happy. Um, Flare jeans are wonderful, so go buy your flare jeans. Um,
Awesome.
I think that it's, and if you go on TikTok or anything, you'll scroll and see like our millennial way of dressing is like no longer in. There's the whole thing about no-show socks are not a thing, but I'm keeping my no-show socks.
I like my no-show socks too.
Yeah, the scrunchy socks, like that we wore in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah,
are in.
I saw.
Socks with bows.
I saw from I bought for 80s night on our cruise this summer. I had to buy some slouchy socks, so now I have neon slouchy socks like I was Punky Brewster all
Yeah,
over again.
yeah.
Yeah,
And you can wear them and you'll be totally in style.
I know. That's right. I
it's
love it.
it is it's crazy. And I know every generation says this, every 20 to 30 years you see the same trends coming back over and over. Our mom said it like when we were in high school, I can't believe
Yeah.
you're wearing those things again. So it is the cycle of fashion.
I don't know about
Yeah.
you, but when I was in high school in the early 90s, 92, 96, we brought back, so when grunge hit, we brought back like the hippie stuff. Like everybody wanted to be hippie and grungy. And my mom's like, well, Lord, I should have probably just kept my bell bottoms and all my crochet vests and all of that stuff, right?
Right.
And now I'm looking at these girls, and I'm like, oh, you have brought back some of the ugliest stuff from the 90s. Like,
Yes.
why? Like the ugly stuff from the 90s, not the cute stuff. Not,
Right.
but the ugly stuff. And I'm like, oh, come on. Like, now I know
Yeah.
how my mom felt.
Yeah. Exactly. It is
Yeah.
an interesting phenomenon, but yeah.
So, what are some of the things interior design wise that may have been everybody's favorite? I know for a long time people were farmhouse this, farmhouse that. Like, what, where are we getting away from, and where are we going to? Any clues there?
Um, we're definitely moving away from the all gray, going a little bit warmer. So maybe if you still like your gray, moving a little more toward grayish. So mixture
Hmm.
of gray and beige, warmer tones. Um, and in both fashion and interiors, which they often go together, follow similar trends. Lots of whites and creams and neutrals, just not the cold gray that we saw for a really long time.
Right. There was a lot of gray for a long
Yes,
time.
yes, a
A long
lot.
time. Yeah.
And wallpaper, definitely in. I know that scares some people, but the new invention of peel and stick wallpaper is
Love
fabulous.
it.
Yeah, you can
I
just
love peel
take
and
it
stick
down if you
wallpaper.
get tired of it.
That's what this wall is.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I did
great.
it a couple of years ago. It's fabulous. Like, and if I get tired of it, I'll take it off and put something else back up.
Yeah, yeah. So, big bold patterns,
Yeah,
and wallpaper too is again, from the 70s and 80s. It's coming back. Um,
it is.
yeah. So same thing. It's all going to come back around eventually. Um, but yeah, definitely a little warmer, softer, less of the cold gray.
Okay. Perfect. So I always love, Nesta, to end on this question. What is a funny story that you can share with us about you growing up? Were you able to kind of come up with one?
I, the only story I can think that I can come up with about funny when I was growing up, um, is maybe I was like 8 or 9 and I decided I was running away. It was snowing outside. I had packed my bag and I don't know. I don't even remember what my complaint was, but I was leaving. And
Okay.
my Dad said, if you walk out that door, you're going to be sorry. And he chased me down uh, through the snow. And I was sorry. And that was the last time that I ever got a spanking. I was a very good girl after that.
There you go.
Um, I don't know if that's funny, but that's the only like really entertaining story I can think of my childhood. Because other than that, I really have always been a rule follower and a good, quiet girl. So,
There you go.
yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Desta, for just being on and talking with us here on Talk with Coach. And so I hope everybody found today's podcast insightful, valuable, and actionable. Hopefully, you took one or two things away that if you're thinking about starting a business, to keep in mind. And remember, growth is a journey, and every step forward counts. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on my YouTube channel and on Spotify for more inspiring content. And hey, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, questions, or topic suggestions by reaching out to us on social media or through our website. And if you would like to schedule a one-on-one call with me to learn more about Southwestern Consulting's coaching program or corporate training services, please click the link before to schedule your call with me. Until next time, keep striving for greatness, keep pushing your limits, and remember, your success story is waiting to be written. This is Becca Goldsberry signing off. Take care and make it a blessed day.